movement now of people just slowly getting on with stuff.
Yes.
Instead of, well, the government will do it for us, won't they? And they bloody won't.
If you'd like to meet Richard Vobes in person, then join us on the 10th to the 13th of August at Camp Out 2023, where Richard will be speaking. Click the link below for more information. I hope to see you there.
So here we are, The Better Way.
Absolutely.
I'm here today with an explorer of truth now.
Apparently so.
Yes, Richard Vobes, you've taken the web by storm in recent months and years with your content, exploring the nature of reality.
Has been a very strange elevation
Yes.
of the channel from where I used to be looking at heritage, landscape and nature, and now I suppose looking at truth and freedom.
Yeah, the landscape of truth instead. Yeah. So what caused that leap for you? That's quite a transition.
I know. I was kind of doing my channel for, I suppose, quite seriously every day, several videos and things for about 5.5 years. Going on walks, exploring the countryside, promoting England.
Sounds terrible.
Getting out into nature.
Oh.
Things that actually I'm now telling people to do, I was sort of doing.
Yes.
And then the channel was sort of flagging a bit, and I was getting a bit tired of doing the same old thing. And I was watching GB News one evening, and there was Neil Oliver, and we were in the middle of that, the early part of the fuel crisis.
Mm.
And Neil said, well, what if we just don't pay all our bills? And I thought, that's a good thing. I wonder if I could just nick that angle and do something on that. So I stuck a picture of Neil Oliver on my thumbnail. Is he right? As my main brand thing, title. And then within 48 hours and about 80,000 views, I was like, oh,
hello.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I was reading the comments and people were going, oh yeah, we should do this and we should do that and blah, blah, blah. And so I did another one following that up on a similar sort of theme, but without any stars picture to draw people in. And amazingly, again, huge numbers. And I suddenly realized, people really want to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been a bit nervous about talking about this on the channel because anytime I'd hinted on that, things like, I don't believe global warming is this big thing when I'm walking in the countryside. And I would get from my older viewers, oh, Richard, how can you say that? And people would just leave. You'd see the subs go, suddenly a whole bunch of people were going because I'd questioned the normality of what we were told. But this time, people were coming because I was talking.
Yes.
About these issues. And so from then on in, I've not really stopped.
It struck a nerve. I have a similar story. I did my first video in August 2020 and it was bizarre because during the course of the first lockdown, we'd been creating a series to try and keep people engaged and motivated. So we're doing daily content, often 3 to 5 times a day.
Brilliant.
Talks, yoga classes, the whole thing. Really trying to reach people. And then this one video in August, I just said, enough's enough, I have to speak my mind. 20-minute live, and I'd never seen anything like it. 100 people watching, 300 people, 500 people, 1,000, several thousand people watching. By the end of the weekend, 300,000 people had watched it. By the end of the week, over 1 million people had watched it.
Wow.
And the comments were just saying, you're saying what I've been feeling, but haven't had the courage to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's what these kind of points in time, it strikes the nerve. And we are living in this, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on this, a society where people are afraid to ask these questions because of those reactions that you kind of alluded to in the previous work.
It's so interesting you say that because during the same time I had an internet show called The Vobes Show with Julia, my partner, and it was purely entertainment. It was nothing more than that. During lockdown, I thought, right, we're all locked down. So similar, we were doing loads of shows. I would go out and because you couldn't go very far, so my GoPro in one hand and I would wander around doing little walks and just talking about observations and things. I would get that up. Then I would do a show. And then I was reading books to the audience, books about England and old books that are out of print and things like that. And we had a smallish group watching, and it was just non-stop, but it gave me something to do. So you would hear people say, I mean, it was quite, we don't know what to do with ourselves and how the world. And I was thinking, actually, my world just got busier.
Yeah, same.
Busier.
Yeah.
But those times, again, when I tried to sort of mention, oh, isn't this a strange, weird thing? And why are we all staying home and those people who are feeling ill, why can't they go to hospital? Why can't they see their GP? Why have they got to wait till they're almost unable to breathe before someone will see them?
Right.
But the audience are going, oh, no, Richard, stay light, stay on the entertainment basis, all of this. But now it's a completely different thing. I've forgotten the question that you initially asked me.
It was really about how people respond or the courage to speak into these matters that people are feeling but not saying.
People come up to me now all the time and they say, the weirdest thing is, you're very brave. Do you get that?
Yes, I do.
And you go, what do you mean? is there hitmen around? Someone about to take me out? And they go, but I'm just saying what I now feel empowered to speak my mind. Yes, we negotiate terms and conditions on certain platforms,
of course,
in case you say the wrong words.
Yes.
But people do. They say, very brave, and even here, people who are coming who are on our wavelength.
Indeed.
You've kept me going.
Right.
You kept me sane. It's very humbling because when you're just doing it day after day after day, sitting in my little studio or in the front room with the camera, talking my talk, you're not really aware of the greater world and the impact you have. And it's only when you are out and about and people come up to you in the most unexpected places. We just had a short break on a canal boat to get away from just before coming here. And even on the canal boat, going through a lock, someone came and said, "You're Richard Vobes, aren't you?" Yes. They're just sort of waiting now for that bloke to push you in. You're an idiot. But he was going, "No, thank you so much." And he's like, "Oh my goodness."
Yes.
Very odd.
Yes, I've had the same. And Lizzie, my wife Lizzie, has always said, "I'm just not looking forward to the day one of your critics meets you in person."
Yes, that's the cold steel.
Yeah, that's why I still go to the gym every day.
It's for you.
So you had that point of inflection, you changed direction, and you tapped into that nerve. What are you having now gone through that period of exploration and curiosity, what's really sparked your interest the most now? What are you most curious about now? What are you kind of looking into?
Now, it's about solutions. It's about getting people motivated to turn their back on the things that they've deferred all the time. We've deferred everything to governments, to other people, to big pharma, to big food. We don't cook anymore. We don't educate our kids anymore. We rely on everything. We've just followed like water, the path of least resistance.
Indeed.
Everything's about convenience.
Yes.
And I don't know quite why I'm not on that path, or never be. I've got a wood-burning stove. I tell this story, but it to me, it means something. I've got a wood-burning stove, which heats the house, not with radiators, just itself. So it's a kitchen range. It dries my clothes. I hang them up in the kitchen. It's all very sort of old-fashioned. And it cooks my dinner. But in order to have dinner, I have to go in the garden, get some logs, chop the kindling, light the kindling, wait for the range to heat up. Meanwhile, I'm chopping my veg and making whatever it is I'm going to cook. And so when I cook this meal, I've actually invested time and effort.
Indeed.
And I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And when you see I don't have a television now, but when you see adverts on YouTube or wherever, or you just see fast food things, and everything's so quick, and you shove it in and you just bring it and you gobble it down as if it's nothing.
Yes.
That's what we've got to get away from.
Yeah, the simplicity, instant gratification, convenience.
All this time saving. What are you saving the time for? And let me tell you this. A previous girlfriend I had who lived on her own had a dishwasher. She only lives on her own. So she cooks a meal and she puts various plates and things into the dishwasher. And about 3 or 4 days later, she sets it up.
Yes.
And when I first met her, she cooked me this lovely beef Wellington, I think it was.
Lovely.
And she said, and we had this wonderful conversation. And she said, we'll go back into the lounge now. And she said, don't worry about the stuff. I'll just put it in the dishwasher. No, I don't have a dishwasher. So I said, that's all right. I'll wash up. So she said, no, you don't have to, because she was trying to impress her. I said, no, I want to, because we can still talk. Because the minute we sit down on there, the television might go on or something like that. And we just found that I changed her whole attitude.
Wow.
Not on purpose. It's like we're engaging in this wonderful conversation and we're still in the same room, but we've washed it. It didn't matter.
Yes.
The chore was not important.
Yes.
And I wonder why we're saving all this time. And the little things of doing things, being in the moment, I think is just so important. And we've just blindly walked away from that, not knowing how important that is.
Yeah, people think about TNT as an explosive, but I call it tiny noticeable things. And it's those tiny things that we can do that create big impact. And I think the challenge with what we're facing right now, the kind of, when you look at the grand scale of the kind of centralization of powers, the kind of various agendas and narratives that would come with that, it feels overwhelming. And people can't see the direct connection between this story, which I actually do think is part of the solution. It is taking responsibility. It is becoming empowered. And that for me creates a ripple effect, because politics is downstream from culture, and culture is a reflection of you and I and the wider society. And if we're all taking greater personal responsibility, we're all becoming empowered, we start to regain the power that's been ceded, because a lot of what we'll talk about here at The Better Way is how these centralized institutions have great power over society. But as you said, and others have said, we've actually relinquished that power.
Yes.
And it's now down to us to reclaim it. And we don't need bold gestures. It can be that simple.
If you've got everyone doing these very small things, that's a lot of people. And if those people are no longer, I mean, at the moment, the roads are in a terrible situation with potholes.
Yes.
It's as if all the councils have decided, do you know what, we're not going to deal with the potholes because we don't want people in their cars. It kind of feels like that. I'm sure it isn't. It's actually the Highways Agency to do the potholes. I didn't realise that till someone told me. And I just thought, do you know what, if they won't bloody well do it, I'll go out there with a bit of concrete, cement, and do it.
Yes.
You know that they'll come and find me for doing it.
They will. That's the crazy thing.
That's stupid irony.
Yes.
I'll do the bit outside my house, because you'd think you go back in history, that's what people used to do.
Yes.
To look after the roads immediately in front of them.
Yes.
But now, of course, everything. So, but it's that sort of thing of making a stance and then getting a newspaper to say, he's only trying to roads, you won't do it. It's in a way you kind of have to embarrass these people.
Yes.
Because if they're not going to do it, you just want people to go, well, we're not going to sit around and wait for you guys.
That's right.
We're going to do it ourselves.
Well, I think that's a powerful message, Richard, because again, when we talk about decentralization or localization, people overlook, and we're looking at complex solutions that actually have simple answers. And
everyone's an expert in something.
That's right. Even
if it's very small.
Yes.
And it's empowering if they're allowed to do those things that they know something about. And I think that's the way forward. The grassroots movement now of people just slowly getting on with stuff.
Yes.
Instead of, well, the government will do it for us, won't they? And they bloody won't.
Yes. Richard, in closing, could you give us a little hint about what you're here to speak about this weekend?
I'm glad you asked me that. I'm actually hosting a panel, 2 panels, one on Friday, which is today, and one on Sunday. The one is on about sovereignty and something, and the other one is, I do know, has no idea.
Well, hopefully by Sunday.
It's this evening, that's the one.
Yes.
And I've looked at it so many times and gone, oh yes, it's something about that. Yes. But it's because my channel has covered all these different issues. I think Dr. Tess very kindly said, oh, do you want to do a second? I said, yeah, I'll do a second one. And I've not really overly paid attention on the second one, which is tonight.
Well, that's the beauty of being able to follow your curiosity and continue to explore the world of truth.
So I'm really looking forward to it. But, a little bit like this, people watching.
Oh, how exciting. Well, it's been lovely speaking with you. And
thank you so much.
And keep up the great work. And gratitude for myself. And I know a lot of our audience are a huge fan of what you're doing as well. So it's a real pleasure to bring you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If If you'd like to meet Richard Vobes in person, then I invite you to join us at Camp Out 2023, taking place between the 10th and the 13th of August. Richard will be joining us alongside many other speakers. It's 4 days of inspiration, co-creation, talks, discussions, well-being activities, great food and conversations around the campfire and more. It's happening at Brazers Park in South Oxfordshire. We really hope to see you there. Come and find out more at campout.live and join us at this year's community gathering.